Hi there and welcome. Special welcome to Marcus. Marcus, do tell us just a bit about who you are and a bit about yourself.
Sure. My name is Marcus. I'm 22 and I'm currently studying at Moorlands Bible College in Christchurch and studying youth work. And guess been on this journey of youth work and young people and following Jesus wherever he takes me, really. So, yeah.
And you're about to get married as well, aren't you? You're married in what?
That's right. So I legally get married next week whenever you watch this.
Yeah, you'll probably by the time you watch it, you'll be a married man. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. And then in July, we're having our wedding ceremony. So busy, and then finishing up final year at Moorlands, which is always busy. And this past year, I've been working with the Pace Trust as my main placement as part of my course, and
the Pace
bits
Trust,
of the wine. Say again.
For those who don't know, the Pace Trust does school work, sort of RE lessons, lunchtime clubs, and assemblies. Yeah. Have you found doing that in the midst of a pandemic? That's an odd. Yeah, it must have been an odd placement, really, where normally you'd be in school all the time and you'd be chatting to lots of kids and stuff. But have you found it?
I mean, as obviously you've been involved with Pace for a little longer than me, Andy. But yeah, it's been interesting trying to do filming. We've been in two main schools, Oak Academy in Bournemouth and Litchit School, which is just beyond Poole. And it's been really great, the relationships we've built. And for me, a whole new experience. I've not been in school since 2014 when I left in year 11. But no, it was a bit weird from sort of January to April when everything was shut. And I was thinking, gosh, this is getting a bit annoying. But no, we've still had opportunities to speak about the gospel and speak pastorally with students, and that's been a blessing.
Brilliant. So tell me a little bit about yourself. You're at Bible College. Was this and you're 20? You're 22, is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. When I was at this is gonna make me sound really old now. And when I was vicaring, one of the things we were talking about was about reaching people in their 20s and 30s, and actually realise how few of the churches actually connect to people who are older than students, and especially people who haven't got kids already. You know, some that they're only sort of pulled to the sort of 20s and 30s was maybe by running a mums and toddler group or a whatever group. You know, do you want to tell us a bit about your journey and how you came to faith and how you've sort of stayed with faith and what's helped you travel on with your faith in Jesus?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I grew up in a Christian home and went to church and knew the Bible stories, was probably the top of the class, but probably didn't know it in my heart and in my head, and went to a secondary Christian school, and that probably didn't in Poole, and that probably didn't help my faith as much as I probably thought it would. It made it seem quite religious and quite boring, and I thought that's what the church was. And then I sort of tailed off and did some things that I shouldn't have when I was younger, and then I'd say the turning point was I didn't get into sixth form, and sort of that really, I sort of had an identity crisis and thought, gosh, where am I heading in life? And it was kind of a youth worker sort of picked me up and said, you know, we'll support you and enable you to get to the next stage of your life. And then I kind of sort of fell into youth work, sort of helping out. I didn't know it was really youth work. I sort of helping out the Tuesday night outreach club with the sport, and then sort of went along to church and thought, you know what, I love helping and serving, and I want to know more about this stuff. So, and then that sort of led me to Bible college. I wanted to go to university and got in, but thought actually I'm going to see if this God stuff or serving is something I want to do, and did a 1-year internship with St Andrew's Church in Bournemouth and learnt so much. And I didn't want to go to Bible college, but here I am 2 weeks away from finishing. So
yeah, I was going to say that's I remember saying to God, I don't want to be a vicar. There's an irony sometimes, but don't always. And so actually what really seemed to sort of help was giving you opportunities to serve, opportunities to be alongside other Christians, even though you say that at the start of it you weren't quite sure where you were, but actually having a place that you could be, that you loved, that you felt accepted and wanted and valued, and a role was actually something that really, really helped you.
Absolutely. I mean, the community was amazing. I mean, we had various staff, and it was just an amazing place to come in. People would pray for you. People would say, how's life going? People would help me, even if it's something stupid like give me lifts to somewhere. And it was something I'd never experienced from people. And the more and more, you know, I think as Christians, we have such an amazing, we're so individual in the fact that we love, you know, we're called to help and serve. And a lot of faiths that doesn't happen. And it's an amazing community.
Yeah. And so when we get church right, that actually looks and feels a bit like how Jesus wants it to. That for you was what really blessed you, enabled you to come out of yourself and to discover faith and to grow and flourish. Is that, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I always thought it was religion. I always thought church was singing boring songs and being quiet, and those aspects are really good. But I think
sometimes it is.
Yeah, exactly.
But like
when you're 12, 13 and you're sort of questioning your parents, you know, school was just quite an unhelpful place for my faith at that point. Yeah. And so seeing another side of Christianity was fantastic.
I've got real concerns, if I'm honest. I probably shouldn't say it on a public forum, but I'm going to. That actually kind of Christian schools, or whatever we call them, aren't always that helpful, because it makes sort of faith a bit nominal. And if everybody's a Christian, no one's a Christian. Do you mean it's that sort of thing? Actually, you've actually got to choose it. And I think sometimes having a whole lot of things where people go through the motions sometimes isn't helpful. So I think some of our ways we do Christian things is maybe we need to rethink about whether we can actually have a Christian school, or, you know, what does that actually mean to be a Christian school? We use these phrases and actually not always helpful. Yeah. Yeah,
there's valid concerns. I mean, we weren't allowed to see you at the school because everyone's a Christian. So, and I think it's interesting that I felt it may have changed, that in a Christian school they already have the preconception that you are a Christian, when actually that's not how church works. We're all somewhere in the mid. We're all on a journey. We're all you know, up and down. It's a roller coaster, I think, being in a relationship with Jesus. And so I think having schools where they can tailor it to meet where you are, I think is really important for youth work, particularly.
Yeah, but often, like I say, it's often lots of things are like a blanket, one size fits all. A bit like church sometimes, actually, you know.
Yeah.
You come along, but there's not actually necessarily, everybody there isn't necessarily a Christian. They're just in the building for probably a variety of reasons, really. You know, sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me a bit about AJ, the youth worker who really sort of mentored you and enabled you to thrive.
Yeah.
You haven't picked up his haircut though. You've wisely avoided that piece of role model-y. If role model is a word.
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to try and copy that style, that's for sure. I don't think I could pull it off for the massive man bun. But no, I came across AJ. I went to Soul Survivor, and I said I didn't get in sixth form, and so I had some lovely Christians giving me Jeremiah 29:11, you know, and that was great. That was really nice. But AJ was probably one of the only few people who gave me practical advice on what was next, and said, actually, I've got this course that you could do. I know some contacts, and that was really, really helpful. And he was probably one of the only few people that gave me practical advice. And so I felt like, he said, "Oh, come along to this Wednesday Bible study." And I thought, I do not want to do that. But I thought, do you know what? This guy's given me some time. I better, go along to support him. And then he just cared. And I'd never really experienced that from a youth worker before, of this person who, you know, had a kid at the time, was married. Why did he have time for me? So, alongside that, there's mentoring and praying, and as we mentioned, giving me opportunities was just amazing.
One of the things you said before is about the fact that you were at St Andrews, which is comparatively a smaller church. Well, you know, it's all relative, isn't it? But it's not a church with huge numbers of people, so it gave you lots of opportunities to serve and to do things you might not have already had the chance to do. Is that? I think that's something I remember you saying.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sometimes the vicar would say, "Do you fancy preaching next Sunday?" And I was thinking, man, like, this is weird.
No,
yeah,
you get paid.
Yeah.
You're paid to be good. Yeah.
Yeah, and I hadn't had any qualifications, and so I was, I thought, gosh, this is mad. And then I would go out on the streets and do detached with young people, where you would just ask them, "How are you?" and opportunities to preach at messy churches and toddler groups. So although there were massive challenges, as there are at every church, the opportunity to serve and do things that were completely outside my comfort zone was something that I really enjoyed.
And stretching as well, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the best ways of learning your Bible, I think, is to try and teach it to somebody else.
Yeah.
Okay, and so if I was going to ask you so now with your next stage, other than becoming a married man in a couple of weeks, what's the plan for the rest of the future? Or
yeah, I mean, I'm just finishing up Moorlands as we speak, and then I am gonna apply for jobs. I do feel called to work with young people and help people, whatever that means. I don't whatever that looks like. I don't know. We're moving into Ashley Cross, which is always nice, into a flat, and my fiance is hoping to go to Bournemouth Uni, but we'll see if she gets in. And we're going to be moving to Cornerstone Church, which is where my old youth worker AJ is now youth worker at. So yeah.
And last question, as we sort of come into land, really, if you were to have a chat with your former self, your younger self, what would you say to yourself as you were sort of exploring faith, as you were sort of questioning about coming back to God, as you were sort of questioning about going to Bible college, all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, there's a few things. I think it's remembering it's a complete relationship. You know, I think it's easy for me, I've always forgot that if you take away all the complicated stuff about church or all the complicated stuff about theology, it's down to a relationship. For me, that's the thing it's about. And probably if I was younger, I'd probably say get connected to someone older than you, or make sure that you've got role models that you look up to that can support you. Sometimes it's quite hard to find those people, but once you do, I think you're more likely to thrive.
Yeah. That mentoring thing is so important. It's such a big biblical concept, isn't it? We don't always. So brilliant. Thank you so much, Marcus. That's been really helpful, and all the best for the wedding and the future as well. So, and bless you. Thank you for watching.
Thanks, Andy.